Stehfuhnee Fabulous. Stehfuhnee Fabulous.
Wanting to ensure their safety, she says she asked the court for sole custody of the kids.
You need to sit down right now. You're out of line.
Big red flashing, questions that needed to be answered and haven't been answered
Her
at the
ex
expense of
later
this
fought
child.
back, saying that
Stehfuhnee
is turning her kids against him.
But she's not trying to interfere with any relationship. It's just that this is what's best for the children.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another vlog. I mean, we are keeping up with consistency. First of all, I think by the time this vlog goes up, we are going to have 11K. That is major. I mean, I didn't even think I would hit 10K this soon, but we did. We hit it really fast, and I am so grateful for every single one of you that has been here, but especially grateful for those of you who have decided to stick around. Like, you just came here and you decided to stick around, so thank you for that. But y'all, the journey continues. It continues, and I'm actually in Charlotte, popping on, finally talking to you guys, which is me traveling here. It is Wednesday, January 21st. That means tomorrow I will, hopefully, in Jesus' name, break the last chain of being attached to my baby daddy. It has been 7 long years that I have literally been trying to get away from the most evil, the most means nothing but ill will towards anybody, especially me, but also to himself. But we'll talk about that after. Type of person I have ever met. And I totally forgive myself for not knowing any better back then. And I totally have done so much work to understand what about me would attract someone like that back then. But my life has changed over and over and over again, and despite what I have, been put through and what I've had to survive while dealing with that, I've made a way. You know what I mean? I have made a way, and I know that God has been like right next to me every single part of that. You know what I mean? Every single step I've taken, He's taken ahead of me. And tomorrow, really, it might be it. It might be it. And I just feel like the road has been long. I've never received anything easily in my life. Anywhere that I've gotten to, any piece of success that I've touched, anything I've just know I struggled so hard before that. And I feel like, I initially was thinking that tomorrow is just going to be more of a struggle or something. But one of my friends put in perspective for me that no, the 7 years has been the struggle, girl. Tomorrow is going to be the reaping finally. So yeah, let's talk a little bit more about what is going to happen tomorrow. So tomorrow is our modification court hearing. And for one, I did not know modifications take this long. I actually put this in before we moved last year, but I moved prior to us having a court date or anything because one, he was in agreement and then tried to take it away because I wasn't letting him move with us. Mind you, he was unemployed, not involved in Cadence's life unless I was giving him my attention. And even then I was still doing all of the work. It's just an extra body in front of me that I'm also now financially responsible for, because every time he's in front of me, all of a sudden he can't handle anything, whatever. But again, I take my accountability for that as well. But things are complicated, That's neither here nor there. So I moved. I knew I had to move in order to really make, my life stable, get away from him, really give Cadence a chance at things, you know what I'm saying, with a healthy mother and thus having a healthier life for her. We move, file all the things. We're going back and forth. Long and short of it, this entire year, since June, I have literally had to fly down to Charlotte every other weekend with my now 7-year-old so that she can maintain the parenting time that she that is awarded to him on our parenting agreement. Mind you, this parenting agreement made sense when we both lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. We lived about 12 minutes apart from each other at the time, and it made sense then, right? But while we were here, he never really came to get her, legit. He would cancel all the time, canceling day of, day before. calling her rare boots. Like her school was literally maybe 6-7 minutes away from him. He definitely lived closer to her school than I did. He was on her campus twice, once for a school carnival and secondly for her graduation from pre-K. Did he even come to pre-K? Yeah. And I think the third time he came was graduation kindergarten, mind you. Not paid for a thing to get her through that school. I think he was handling tuition for pre-K, but it was like off credit card payments. And like more than once I had to pay it and he had to pay me back because something wasn't going through on his account or whatever. But that was literally all he was responsible for out of all the other ways that you're supposed to support a child. Like let's even remove finance from it. He wasn't doing any of that, but the least you could have done was a little bit of finance, something, right? Never did that. So, I moved. And in me moving, I had my attorney. I've always had my attorney here or whatever, just making sure I'm doing things, on the up and up. And she was like, listen, like, we don't want to make it seem like, you've taken this child away from their father, regardless of, how he obviously behaves or, his lack of interest in actually parenting. And, I feel like anyone seeing this can obviously see that this is more about control and jealousy of you rather than actually parenting, because it's not like you're interrupting his parenting anything. Do you know what I mean? But we don't want to make it seem as though we are, one, disrespecting the court, and two, taking him away. So we stuck with what the parenting agreement said, which is that I am to make her available to him every other weekend because that is his rightful parenting time. Mind you, again, not only was he barely using that parenting time when we were in Charlotte, he wasn't taking anything extra. Like if I would ever ask him, like, come get her any other day of the week, like, where I know you're not working because you're constantly not working, can you watch her a little bit more? Can you take her this day? Can you, whatever. No, if it wasn't a court appointed day, he's not going to do it. And he won't even do those, sometimes here and there, mostly. So we were keeping up with that until we had our very first hearing. The very first hearing was to address a couple of things. The first one, he tried to file an injunction when I moved to have me move right back. Sneaky. It got denied right away because what? I've got a praying grandmother. Thank you. Secondly, the other thing we had to go back for was, I'm not really sure what it was called, but it was it gave prelim to what we're doing tomorrow, because we ended up meeting on, I think it was contempt, maybe I think he tried to have me in contempt, which I feel like also ended up getting dismissed, but we had a hearing anyway, and it was virtual. So I was still in New York. My brother was there as witness as well. And that one, long and short of it, that judge was a temporary judge, a white male judge, in a Southern. So I was immediately scared because I'm like, you don't know the history of things that are going on here. You are a Southern conservative white male judge. Like, things could go either way. It wouldn't even go poorly for me. It would just go poorly for us, both being black parents, young black parents, and, whatever it gives. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, you mess with the wrong man, they'll have you in situations that you never, ever thought you would see yourself in, But alas, here we are. Luckily, and that judge could have, because he didn't have context or anything, that judge could have easily been like, move your behind back to Charlotte right now because you're going against, not going against court order, but this is not what your court order at the time said. But he didn't. But what he did do was say that I still had to, until our bigger hearing, which is tomorrow, what he did do was say, until that time, I am still responsible for bringing her to Charlotte every other weekend, and it would be at my cost. So I know that was a little bit of a slap on the hand, but I said, God, the bigger win was that I don't have to move back to Charlotte. So I took it because I said, I feel like he made sure I didn't have to go back to not only did he make sure I didn't have to go back to Charlotte to live there, but thank God the funds were coming in that I could pull it off. As much as I did not want to, as much as I know it was pulling away from money from Cadence, other things I could be doing for Cadence. I just said, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to count down on the calendar. This will not be forever. Let's go. Let's do this. Obviously, it has been beyond taxing. And obviously, it has been beyond unfair. Because once again, it's since she's been born, I have done 100,000% of the work to raise her in every single way. where he just gets to sit on his behind. And in this instance, it made it even more like, it was just like so much more in my face. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm literally the one paying flights there and back. I'm literally the one having to like cut from what I may want to do on the weekend or whatever, because I'm here while she's there. Mind you, the flights, because we're flying into Charlotte and flying out of Charlotte, it's so much more expensive than it like needs to be. And on top of that, it's like I'm paying all this money for him to see her for what, like a day and a half? Like it's literally 7 p.m. on Friday to 6 p.m. Sunday. Like it's just garbage. And mind you, they're not doing anything enriching during that time. Yeah, she might be happy to see her dad, like, you know what I mean, or whatever. But it's like, it's nothing that spectacular. And mind you, half this time he has been unemployed. So he can absolutely pick her up earlier than 7, but 6:59 is still too early for him. I need y'all to understand that. He's not picking her up a second early, and he's not doing anything a day more than he needs to. So I've been doing this for months, y'all. Think of the thousands of dollars I have put out to make sure that she can come here and spend this little raggedy half a day. When, mind you, his son literally lives in New York. Literally lives in New York. His family literally lives in New York. He is born and raised literally in New York. Exactly. So tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow is finally here. I thought I would be much more anxious about what's going on, about what may go on. But I just feel as though when you let a moron be a moron, when you let a bum out, they just provide all of the evidence that you need to hit them in the throat with it. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's really what it's going to be. I stopped fighting him verbally and a long ass time ago. I really, really did. Because I just felt like there is no way a person like this, first of all, deserves for me to be going back and forth. That's where my life gets stuck. I didn't want my life to be stuck anymore, like even dealing with somebody I've evolved so far away from. So I was not entangling myself in that energy anymore. But secondly, I'm like, a person like this has to trip themselves up. And I have to like play my part by like removing myself from it, to let this person fail in life. Because what has happened is anywhere that he's gotten to thus far has been because I have made it possible for him. Literally every single thing that he has is literally handed to him by me. And because you are the father of my child, not because of anything else. You know what I mean? So it's just like, once I realized every time that I back up from you or move from you, you can't sustain anything. You can't hold anything. Oh, so okay. So what I have to do then is understand and maintain a boundary. And I did that. And as soon as I did that, it's like, it crumbles from you. He's tried to throw every single thing at me, regardless of how it may hurt Cadence, and they always will hurt Cadence, okay? I always have to do extra 10-fold, 20-fold to make sure that my kid is secure and safe and like provided for and cared for, and is doing well, and she's excelling. And I think that's a true testimony of my motherhood and the community that I have built around me, you know? And tomorrow, hopefully all this comes to a freaking end. Ideally, we are going to go up to this judge, and she will literally make sure that I'm not the one coming down here anymore. I'm not the one facilitating his parenting, that he needs to get off of his ass and actually parent on his own dime and on court regulated time, because I'm not playing this game anymore. So yeah, that is really, really the ideal outcome. I want to go in there and, you know, just state the facts. Like, I feel like we have a freaking binder of evidence this big of just this person just being the most hateful, nasty, and just, again, not present father ever. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, dang, it came down to this when really all this motherfucker had to do was just lay low. Lay low. You know you are not doing what you need to do, and you can't for whatever reason. I'm not even bothering you about that. But the fact that you don't do anything that you need to do for no other reason than the fact that you're literally a lazy bum, and then on top of that, you want to be vindictive, cruel, nasty, do things that can potentially and sometimes do hurt my child. one thing I am on this planet for, 1, 2, 3, 4 to 100 things I am on this planet for, is to protect my kid. I will protect my child. It is my duty. It is literally my purpose in this life. And it sucks that the enemy of my child is her own other parent. Like, that's just craziness. That's craziness. But you know what I mean? I had to put on my big girl pants, and I had to put them on a long time ago, and really realize, like, I'm in this by myself. When it comes to the parenting of her, I'm in this by myself. And you know what? I've done a damn good job. Not having a mom to show me anything or support me, not having a daddy to show me anything or support me. Like, I just done it by myself. And I would say I wouldn't change a thing, but I would. Because truthfully speaking, even though I have come out on top over and over and over again, I have lost a lot of life coming out on top over and over again. It is to a point, and it is at a huge sacrifice. I feel like, you know, there are many things that I could have been doing for myself, or dreams that I really had that I've either had to put on hold, or they just don't make sense for my life anymore, because I have been fighting. I have been doing nothing but fighting with every ounce of me to get away from a mistake that I made 7 years ago. Do you know what I mean? And not to call my child a mistake, because she's obviously not a mistake, but I'm gonna talk to you real mom to real mom, and like real woman to real woman. I wouldn't miss something I never had. You understand what I'm saying to you? Like, I do think, what would my life be like if I actually didn't get pregnant and keep a child? What would my life be like if I were to meet him and recognize that this is a danger? This is not a person that you would want to tie your life to for this long. And you know what I mean? Even if this ruling happens tomorrow in my way, he will still be alive. He will still be around for quite some years. You know what I mean? At least until Cadence is 15, 16, 18 even. So yeah, like, I do think about that, and that is the reality. And I feel like, I don't know, you know, if moms keep it that real, but I'm gonna keep it that real. Like, I would never miss something I didn't have. So I do think about that sometimes too, like, damn. And I do, you know, and I do say, yeah, like, it looks great, it looks fabulous, and it is great, and it is fabulous, and we have a nice life or whatever, but it came at a cost that I would never give up again. It came at a cost I would never, ever give up again, and it's not worth it. The things I've had to go through are not worth it to be doing all this, because I honestly could have never known a Chanel bag. I honestly could have never known a trip here, trip there, at leisure, whatever, and still been in law school by now, a lawyer by now. I still could have, you know, not known all these things or whatever, but learned how to find confidence and love myself more gently, rather than being thrown to the wolves and literally almost eaten alive until I learned how to love myself. I feel like everything I've come at, I came through literal concrete in order to get it. And so it's made me hard. It's made me, like, really, life has just been really tough. You know what I mean? And not to say that if I didn't have a child, life couldn't be tough, but it's been a different type of tough. And so I share this, and I say this because, you know, I'm very aware now that I have young women watching me, and I also have non-mothers watching me, and I will say it over and over and over and over again. Watch who you choose to be your child's father. It is the most important decision you will make of your life. That is not an exaggeration. It will literally change the trajectory of your life. It doesn't matter what you envision for your child. It doesn't matter if you think you're going to get with him, and if he doesn't do what he's going to do, it's deuces, and you could always, even if your family is there to support you, that is not the life that you think it will be. I could put my own child on it, and I will. And it's also not the life that your child deserves. You understand? So even if you put yourself to your side, even I've met some people, or, you know, not even met people, but I've heard a lot of, you know, like, people deciding to have, like, kids, like, they don't really care if the dad stays around or not. You're making a decision for this child, this human being, that you don't even know their wants or needs. It's not ideal for a child to only know one parent. It's not ideal. Not only can you not sustain it the way parenting is made to be, shared. It is a community thing. And at its very base, a two-parent thing. But you're making a big decision for a child that is their own person. This is a human you've brought into the world. So making these decisions, like, because you feel so independent and you don't need this, it is very selfish, in my opinion, to do that to a child. You know what I mean? But some of us have lived and some of us have learned. And I have learned big time. Big time. And so tomorrow, it will be... Child, let this be the last correction to the lesson. It's 7:26 now. We're about to get some dinner, and I am going to go to sleep early. I just feel like I have to be up so early tomorrow. This is going to be a 9 a.m. start, and I think we're going to be there the entire day. So, like the entire day. So, whatever that is, hopefully, that's really helpful, because if we need to run it down minute by minute of what's been going on, I'm very, very ready. So that's what's going to happen. And guys, like, say a prayer for me, please. Like, say a prayer for me. I need this over. I can't, I literally cannot sustain another week of this. I can't. It's been too long. And it's unfair. And it's wrong. And yeah, we here now. So I'll see you guys after, and I'll update you ASAP. Okay, see you. (8:28). We're on the way. This is it. I don't know what's about to happen. So many different scenarios in the air, but what I know is I'm here. Both my feet are on the ground. God is behind me. God is in front of me. God is within me. I'm gonna stay quiet until we get there. I'm only about 5 minutes away from the courtroom, or the courthouse, I should say. So let me just stay a little bit quiet. Let me just, get in touch with myself a little bit. And yeah, I'm nervous. I feel like I'm shaking, but it doesn't mean that I'm not prepared. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be nervous, but you should still do the hard thing. Always do the hard thing. I'm not just fighting for myself. I'm fighting for my kid. So nothing could ever make me back down. Nothing could ever make me chicken out. Just for my child. So let's get to it. I'll see you guys after.
In a quarter mile, be the...
Okay, here we go. So obviously I am back home, and the last time we spoke, I was in Charlotte for what was probably the last time I'll be in Charlotte by force. And it's so funny to say now, because at one point, which we'll get into, I literally moved to Charlotte intentionally. Like, it was, well, I'll clarify that one. But I moved to Charlotte to rebuild, to start my life. And it was home. It was home for almost 4 years, if I can remember correctly. And now it's become this place that, like, when I land there, I felt trapped every single time. Like, I'm trying to leave this place behind me, but I have to be here, literally by law. But that is now over. So let's get into it. You guys are here for the story time. You guys are here for the tea, which is fine. But I think that I actually have a lot to say on this. And for those of you who want to stick around, stick around. For those of you who want more of the what just happened, you could skip past all this and get towards the end of this. I don't know the times yet. Obviously, I'm recording this, but yeah, I am going to take us through a little bit of a journey before I update us on exactly what just happened. So first of all, for those of you new here, hi, my name is Stehfuhnee. This is not the beginning of the vlog, but I just want to reintroduce myself as a new person. I quite literally feel super, super new. I'm about to talk about things that happened years ago, and into the more recent things that happened. But this is my first time hitting record on this vlog as Stehfuhnee. And I say Stehfuhnee and my shoulders are going to drop. You're going to see that a lot as I'm talking because this is an unencumbered me. This is me just free. Finally free. So welcome to this vlog. If you, by the end of this, choose to hit subscribe, I'm so happy to have you join the family. If not, maybe the next one will get you. But thank you for being here. And to those of you who have been here, who quite literally have been walking with me through this entire thing, we made it. We did it. And I cannot believe we are finally here, but we knew it was going to come. It had to come. But anyway, let's get into it. So, as you know, or may not know, I am a single mom. My entire internet identity has really been the embodiment of like what it's like to live your life after. So I went through a really, really toxic relationship, had a child with someone who ended up being extremely mentally abusive towards me, and I broke that off. And in breaking that off, I went through a lot of changes, a lot of like questioning periods, a lot of identity and recreating identity periods. But throughout all of that, I have just been trying to be the best mom that I possibly can. And that has also, you know, turn the mirror in on myself and try to be the best mom I could possibly be to my inner child, which has also made me take care of myself as a woman, meet myself as a woman for the first time and over and over and over and over again. So let's start from before Cadence got here. Long story short, I met a boy. I met a boy in what was a very, very vulnerable time in my life. One where I had quite literally no identity, was coming out of being very, very sheltered, was still sheltered at that point, and I was in undergrad. So this was years ago. For those of you who don't know, I'm 37 this year. I feel like a lot of times people think I am much younger than I am. Thank you. But I am not, you know, I'm closer to 40 than I am to 30. So, and I'm so grateful for it, you know. But I met this person a very long time ago. We briefly met. We didn't like live in the same city at the time, and we met through a friend actually. So after we met, we had like, you know, a little friendship here and there, talking here and there, but I knew nothing about him. And he honestly didn't really know much about me, but I knew much less about him. After a while, we kind of like, the communication kind of faded. Life goes on. He's again in a different time zone, not only just a different city, but a different time zone than I am. I'm going on to, you know, finish my schooling, get into my own relationships, do what I need to do and whatnot. And I assume the same for him. It wasn't until my 25th birthday, this time I was still living in Philadelphia. I believe so. I can't even remember. You will see throughout this video, I'm going to be upfront and transparent about that. A lot of things that have happened, I cannot place them on a correct timeline. Like I would literally have to go back to pictures or accounts from someone else. And what I know to be true now is that not only stemming from this, obviously it's been exasperated by meeting this person, but I have insane issues with memory. And that is trauma. That is trauma. And a lot of things that I don't remember, somebody else has to like remember it for me. Or again, like I said, I have to literally do so much research to do so. But I also know now that it is probably my brain protecting me from a lot of things. And as I go through like somatic therapy, a lot of things are coming back and like, I'm remembering a couple of things, you know what I mean? But there's still so much that I'm like, I know this happened, but I cannot place it on a timeline or be more specific with when things happen. So I wanted to be upfront with that. So I could tell you like before, after, but sometimes I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like which part of the before was this or whatnot? But I am being as accurate as I can be. So, so it was around my 25th birthday. I remember this, we reconnected. I was in Haiti visiting my, parents at the time and just back to Haiti after, and I haven't been there since, honestly, but whatever, I was there. And I noticed around that time, like this specific person was like liking a lot of my Instagram posts. It would be like the first like I would ever get on my Instagram post over and over. And I'm like, who is this? I can't remember. I cannot put my finger on who this is. Like I'd go on his page and I'm like, he doesn't even really look familiar to me. I cannot place it, but I followed him, I believe, and he followed me as well. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So one of the nights before I came back from Haiti, I'd messaged him because I posted something and he liked it again. So I messaged him. I'm like, hey, can you like jog my memory? Like, how did we meet? Like I cannot remember who you are, but I feel like you're liking all my posts. So I just like, what's going on? Child, little did I know that DM that I sent was literally the opening of the floodgates. Like this person was quite literally on a praying mission and I was the prey. He answered the DM, reminded me how we met each other, how we knew each other, whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh. Oh, okay, cool. Anyway, a couple months had gone by. A good couple months had gone by because at this point I had moved to New York. Honestly, maybe it could be a year and a half had gone by, perhaps. I'd moved to New York at this point. I had been dating seriously someone else, and he and I, were in semi-contact, but nothing too crazy. I definitely finished my master's degree at this point, which is why I moved to New York. And I do remember, our courtship continued because I broke up with my boyfriend that I was dating here while I was here. This time I was a teacher. Life was great. Life was fine. I had, beginning like this severance between my parents and I. So again, I was definitely still in search for identity, not really protected by any adults in my life. Having, moved to a brand new city, no support really with that, just kind of following what I think is true, what I think is right, getting into a career that I was passionate about, but didn't really have any mentorship or anything. So again, just figuring things out by myself always. And I seemed at the time, if I think back, like I had kind of everything I could think of. Like I had a really great paying job. I had my degrees behind me. I had like certain friends at the time and just really a lot of freedom. But I'd always been guided by what I was lacking. And at that point, what I was lacking was very loud to me. It was partnership. It was like someone to support me. It was definitely someone to be in love with and to, just do all the things that I felt like I did not grow up with. I'd always wanted to like remake that. Prove something to my mom, prove something to my dad, or maybe give them something to be more proud of me about, because it's like, obviously they were proud of my school accomplishments, but it's not even like they were like present for that. You know what I mean? So again, just like not really like living for myself, just trying to like please others. And it permeated in even like my love life. So I go through a heartbreak, and so he and I reconnect, and I'll never forget this. We went through maybe like a week of like chatting and talking, and as friends. I'm thinking he's showing up for me as a friend, and I for him as a friend at that time as well. And we were in a car, and I was like talking about, this heartbreak or whatever, just like trying to like get little homeboy help, you know what I mean? And I remember him being like, and let this be the last time you talk to me about that. I don't want to hear about you and other men anymore. And at the time, I remember being both jarred and also like maybe like impressed by his directness, I guess. Like, you know what I mean? He kind of like took a little lead there, and I was like, oh, like, okay, cool. From there, we started flirting a little bit more. You know what I mean? We started flirting a little bit more. He's getting a little bit more direct on how he feels about me, and me to him. A lot of the things though that like attracted me to him were all, again, guided by what I am used to. So when people are like, oh, were there not any red flags at the beginning? Were there not any? Me now can see there were many red flags at the beginning, but me then, those flags were quite literally invitations to try and change someone. He in particular is a mirror of my father, like quite literally my father, someone who I have grown up to constantly beg for their attention, for their acceptance, for their love. That's all I knew in my household. So I meet this guy who reminds me of my dad in many, many, many ways, but is much younger. So my brain the entire time was like, hey, I can help you. I literally know where your life could end up and how you could be. And like, I can help you literally escape that. Like, I can help you become better. You know what I mean? Like, I got this. What I couldn't fix with my dad, I can fix with this one. Because surely we weren't old enough to be like so stuck in our ways, right? Pleased with all that. But we get together. Once we get together, things are fine. I mean, honestly, we didn't have any like huge issues or any problem that, you know, again, was like triggering anything in me. I didn't feel like that heightened source of stress. These were all, to me, all challenges that I could overcome, like little wins. Like if I make him think about something differently, it's a win for me. At the time, also learning that he had a child, excuse me. And the issues there, like I just didn't even know what to ask properly. You know what I mean? You meet a man who has a child and the child does not live with them. And, you know, I'm coming again from a very sheltered place. Like my mom really didn't teach me how to date. I don't really know what I'm supposed to be looking out for, what I need to take time to see. I sped through a lot of the things. Again, just trying to be the hero in things, just trying to be the exemplary person that everyone should like look up to because like, look what I'm doing so well, clap for me. But I did not take the time to examine the situation that I am putting myself in. I didn't ask any real questions about his family, where he comes from, what are the values, what are the relationships between you guys. A lot of things I did see, I would make excuses for. Like, I mean, his relationship with his mother even, or how he talked about her versus how she acted around him. I just said, you know what? I don't have the best relationship with my mom and my parents, so like, why would I judge them? But hello, if you find yourself in that situation, you need to examine a bit further. There's still a difference between you. Two people can be going through the same thing, but you have to find what the difference is. For me, it was that not only yes, I had a bad relationship with my mom and my dad, so both my parents, but I was in therapy about it. I could identify what the issue was, and I could take accountability for my part. Not that a child ever has accountability for not having a strong connection with their parents, but I could see where it was meddling in my current life. So I was taking accountability for those parts. So I was doing the work, whereas he could not actually tell you what the problem was between he and his mom or he and his dad. It was just this disdain for them with no real root, with no real explanation, right? So things like that, I did not take the time to explore or listen to or really observe. And obviously you can see what that would bring out later, right? I didn't really take the time to ask what happened between you and your child's mom. All I did was just do surface level observations. Like sometimes we go pick up his son and like quite literally all he did was get out of the car and his child's mom would have like a fit. I mean, she would be losing her freaking mind. If she could stab him, she would. And I'm in the car like, all he did was get out. Like, what's the problem? Like, why doesn't she want him to see his son? Like, what's going on? You know? And I never spoke ill against another mom, or at the time I was not a mom, but I never spoke ill against her. I just only had the information I was given. I did not probe enough. You know, I could say that about myself. Very, 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 very proud of myself. I would never go out with anyone ever telling me that I was not like in support of another woman. You know what I mean? Like I made a lot of those types of mistakes. Like when I was in undergrad, again, because I have a male-centered mother and no one taught me how to be there for women, for friends, for girls, do you know what I mean? Like I didn't, and it's nothing that I ever did on purpose to another girl, another woman, but I didn't know how to show up for another woman then. You know, I was learning to be one myself, and without any examples, you know? So there was a lot of faltering with that in undergrad. But after that, I just know that it was something I was very intentional about. So while I never like shitted on her or anything, I also didn't take time to see where she might be coming from, what might be making her lose her literal mind at the sight of this person, you know? Again, those flags did not stand up for me at all. So, you know, instead of like taking my time to look at these things and step back and ask myself, where will I fit into these things? I made myself fit into them. You know, I put myself in these pieces, in these places, instead of like heeding any warning. So, I get involved with the family a bit more, get involved with him a bit more. And, at this time, my little tidbit here, my parents are on the older side, especially my dad. He is 20 years older than my mother. He is definitely, I think this March, he'll be 90. So if not 91, honestly. So I have always grown up in a household that was really reinforced by don't embarrass your father. Not make your father proud, but quite literally quoting, don't embarrass your father. And that's just always been my guiding principle. Whatever I'm doing, it's to not bring shame upon my father. So it didn't really matter what I was doing. It didn't really matter how I was getting to it. It didn't really matter. I was always high achieving. My identity was in all of my achievements, and that's it. Not who I am as a person, not how others may view me, not how I view others. None of that really mattered. My feelings, my emotions, the creative parts of me, or anything like that. It was succeed, don't embarrass your father. I was always also compared to his first child, who is a daughter as well. And she embarrassed him by, I guess, having a child early and, just not turning out to be the pristine Haitian daughter that, Caribbean parents put on their kids. So all of that pressure was put on me. Even though that up to that point, I had been an exemplary daughter. I mean, honestly, I could have done less. But the point is, I just did the freaking most to try to not bring shame on my dad. But even though I didn't bring any shame and I actually brought like the most wonderful things that any parent would be like really, really happy for, I also didn't get any congratulations. Every time you achieve something, it becomes this new baseline, like duh, you did this, okay, yeah. You know what I mean? It's just like no one's giving you a cookie for continuing to achieve. But at this point, I'm in an achievement wheel. It's all I can do. It's the only thing that like helps me, feel anything about myself. And again, I'm always pining for his acceptance, his eyes on me, and my mom's approval after. Because it's like my mom's approval spoke for my dad. Do you know what I mean? He never really actually said a freaking thing to me. It was more so like, how does my mom feel about what my dad might feel about this? And so I remember distinctively at one point, and first, I don't know why. I, to this day, don't know why it was that deep for me, but I literally felt so strongly about starting my own. I know why. I felt so strongly about starting my own family because at the time, I remember it was really like I was really at the turning point of recognizing my mom for what her issues were, her lack thereof are. And I was starting to really resent her, And so in order to get back at her, I was like, I'm going to start my own family and I'm going to show you how it's done. I'm going to show you how you're supposed to be a mom, how you're actually supposed to show up as like the matriarch of your family and whatnot. I'm going to do it better than you can. So the little problem with that is, yes, you can absolutely see how your mom acted and want to be different from that. But if no one actually shows you, and you might know what different looks like, but if no one actually shows you how to get from this to that, you're actually probably doomed to end up at that. So while I knew that I wanted to be different from my mom, no one showed me how to be different from my mom, if you understand what I'm saying. So lo and behold, obviously, I got with the wrong person. I chose to start a family with the wrong person. But at the time, I didn't think any of these things were happening because, I was talking to him about starting a family and my purpose for wanting to be a family. And I couldn't wait to be a mom and, showing him how great I was with his first child. And I was like, I could totally do this. I can do this. I have something to prove to everyone. I have something to prove even to me. I can do this. And he's like mirroring the things I'm saying. He's got issues within his family. And he's like, yeah, we could just do this totally different. Like I've always wanted to do such and such, such and such, such and such. And I'm sitting here like putting the pieces together, putting the whole plan together, never once stopping to ask, how do you plan on supporting this plan? How do you plan on participating in this plan? You know what I'm saying? I've got everything handled. I just needed him to sit pretty. That's really what was going on. That's the long and short of it. I turned 30, I have Cadence. By the by, and this is just my opinion, 30 is the worst time to have a freaking kid. If I were to ever do this again, if I could go back, and do this again, I wouldn't have a child till 35 if I could. 35, because at 30, I was at the crux of meeting myself. Like 30 is just this awakening, and it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't. But there is one night that you really wake up and you're like, like it just all collides and makes sense in a way. You will have more. 40, I can't wait for that one. It's going to be juicy. You know what I mean? And I think the next one really happens at 50, but it's like, I had a child at the time where I was supposed to be waiting to rebirth myself. Not only was that already difficult, but then I got pregnant, and I kid you not, before I hit second trimester, the person I chose to have this child with completely changed. And that was overnight. The person I knew, the person I thought I knew, all of a sudden disappeared. In comes a literal monster. And the monster just kept getting bigger and bigger and darker the more pregnant I became. I'll even tell you guys this. I remember realizing I made such a huge mistake. And I went to my OBGYN. I mean, I was going through all my appointments by myself at this point. He wasn't going to any of them, didn't want to. There was always some situation, always some reason, whatever. So I went to my OBGYN appointment, and I remember already feeling ashamed, already feeling like, I mean, I was literally engaged at the time and literally still feeling so alone. So like everyone can tell that I'm like in this by myself, like, you know, just shaming myself all the time. And I couldn't stand up straight. My head wasn't held high. I was this pregnant child and not a pregnant woman, you know? And so I get there and I ask her, and I was, you know, finished the checkup and everything. And she's like, do you have any questions for me? And I was like, what happens? What happens if maybe I'm thinking like, I don't want to have this child? And she was like, basically like, speak up, girl. And I'm like, and I said it, I was like, what are the procedures if I wanted to not go through with this pregnancy? And she was like, well, we could talk about that, but I fear it would be a waste of your time and really mine, because in the state of New York, you are past the time that we could, even, you know, begin that procedure. So it is kind of what it is for you. And I remember from that day forward, I literally said to myself, you know what? You made this bed, you have to lay in it. And that's how I treated my pregnancy. Luckily, I did not have a difficult pregnancy at all. I had no complications, no anything up until the very day I delivered Cadence. I didn't have any issues. But what I did deal with was constant bombardment of just like mental abuse and just literally just being so alone in the most vulnerable time in any woman's life, the most important time in any woman's life. I was literally taking the brunt of the craziest personality switch up and just disgustingness every single day of that. And again, not supported by my mom. And at the time I had no more girlfriends or anything like that or whatever, because I'd been alienated from them, whether by my own actions because I'm trying to like, you know, maneuver so much and I can't support friends right now, or because it was all of that, just too much chaos. And I just felt like I had to zero in. I got to zero in on focusing on what and keeping up with what this person is going to do next. And I got to be on my toes to protect myself or to, you know, fight back, combat things back or whatever. So there was just no time to be a real friend to anybody, let alone to myself. I have Cadence, and it only gets rockier. Like I never took maternity photos. I never, like, it was a duty, a job. That was it. I did not have a beautiful pregnancy moment. I did not have this like ushering in new life and recognizing that and being celebrated for that. There was just none of that. I just had a baby because I had sex, and now I got to raise this baby. And that's what it was for Cadence's entire first year of life. It was just a duty to me. And not that other, you know, motherhood situations can't feel like duty, but again, this was kind of like placed upon me. I wouldn't have chosen for my motherhood to look and feel that way, right? So that's what it is. Honestly, the entire time I just felt very painful, very alone. I mean, there was so much like psychological, like, games being played that entire time, mother fresh in postpartum. And like, I remember we'd go for walks sometimes, and, he'd like literally put her stroller like into the crosswalk while we're standing on the curb. And I'm like, what do you do? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, my instincts are at a heightened mode right now, but why aren't yours? And why are you doing that? So I would often have to like get the stroller, or it caused me to have like an attitude, and he'd take that instance to like bail, or like tell me I'm doing too much. I'm being too sensitive. I'm too much, too something, and would leave. To other people that might look like I was being controlling of how he's holding the stroller, but it was just like, no, like they're doing things on purpose to make you feel nuts. You know what I'm saying? And to abandon situations. Mind you, I just had a baby, and I had a C-section at that. So yeah, like if you know. Other things would be like, if he by chance were to like change her diaper, he would purposely only snap back one of the little parts of her onesie. And I'd always be like, why do you put the onesie back on? Like, why are you always only snapping that or leaving it? You, like, fully do the job or don't do it at all. And he chose don't do it at all. Just to spite, things like her bottles, they constantly had to be cleaned, constantly had to be washed or whatnot. And I remember making a remark on that, like, hey, I feel like I'm the only one washing these bottles. And instead of him stepping in to help, he would literally start to count and tally on the refrigerator whiteboard that I bought in order to track other things for her. He would tally how many bottles he cleaned that day, so I would have a visual of him cleaning bottles. Things like all of a sudden he started wearing headphones to bed. He's never done that in all the years that we've known each other and all the time that we've been together, which was really like officially like a year and a half at this point. He would just wear headphones to bed, so if Cadence does get up crying or I need him or whatever, he literally can't hear us. Okay. Sometimes I'd be up with Cadence far before he was up, and I'd be in the living room. Cadence is like on my chest and sleeping. I might be nodding in and out, but the morning time would come, I'd be up. He'd like literally walk past us in the living room, make himself breakfast, and walk right back to the bedroom and close the door. Not asking me, did I eat? Not asking me, did I need help? Quite literally, that is my motherhood. That was my postpartum era of motherhood. And things like getting up and without saying a word, about to like leave the apartment, mind you, my apartment that you're not paying anything for, that, like you're not helping clean things in. We'll just try to get up and leave. And if I ask where he's going, oh my God, I feel like I'm in jail. Why do I have to like answer every question, or like I can't even just leave the apartment and just go do what I want to do? No. Like, what do you mean? Like, that's not jail. It's like common courtesy. Like, I'm here with your child and you feel like you just get up and go. And I remember one time his response with that was to then leave, and then proceeded to text me every street sign, every light he stopped at, texting me where he was because I wanted to know where he's going so bad. You're a psycho. Then there were times like when I'm cleaning the house and quite like finishing cleaning and everything or whatever. Mind you, again, a newborn baby, I'm cleaning the house. I'm inhaling chemicals. I'm doing all these things with the tub, all these things or whatever. And he'd be like, you like to think you doing everything in the house, you cleaning or whatever, but like you missed that spot over there. Like that on top of the radiator is dirty. This is what I was dealing with, just to really paint a picture. And I could go on about the psychological shit that I had really survived in a point in my life where I could have killed myself, okay? Or I could have, something really, really, really insane could have happened, and it would have been understandable to me, but no one else would have known what was going on because, again, I didn't have a black eye. I didn't have anything broken or whatever. So that type of abuse is invisible, and it's so hard to explain to people that you are in danger. It is hard because, and it's not only is it hard to explain to people, but it's hard for people to sympathize and empathize with you because, again, there is no visual for them to understand it and to react to it. So I took that for some time. I took it because I didn't know what to do because, again, no one showed me how to go from this to that. All I knew, though, was to defend myself. So I never took it laying down. He's never experienced doing something to me without me responding to it. You know what I'm saying? So I thought, as long as I'm not taking it laying down, as I interpreted what my mom was doing. You know what I mean? She's taking it laying down. She's not really doing nothing about it, blah, blah, blah. But I found myself in this situation and I'm not taking it laying down. So I'm always responding. I'm always do. But again, I should be focusing on mothering. I should be focusing on being calm, but I'm always at a 20. I'm always at a 20, always alert, always ready. Shoulders always up here. Do you know what I mean? And that marked and that colored like my kid's life. That marked my first couple years as being a mom. So anyway, I finally get to COVID. We get to COVID. In between that, so much has happened. The abuse continues. It just shifts the way it shifts. Like Cadence starts we realize that Cadence needs like physical therapy with certain things. Like there's just so much that was going on, but it's just all me handling it. He was physically present because where else can he go? You're in my apartment, you're in my house. I'm trying my best. You're like cheating on me the entire time, sometimes like at the beginning I did not know, but then come to find out afterwards. And COVID happens, and COVID was dreadful. It was so sad and it was so tough. And it was like, the end of life for so many people. But for me, it was the beginning of something new. I saw an opportunity and I freaking took it. When I say I took it, I ran. I made a plan, wrote it down, called my brother, and I got out of New York literally overnight. I kicked him out. I remember I kicked him out. And that week I started making my plan. I got out of New York, didn't need his permission for anything, didn't say anything. Like it was just gone. He'd been in another apartment out of like, you can't pay anything in this house. You can't do anything in this house. But the second I kick you out, somehow you found your way into a brand new apartment. You're doing what you need to do, whatever. You don't want to come pick up Cadence. You don't want to help me at all with your own child, anything. Sometimes I'd be sick. I had to like drop her off at his doorstep and like force him to take her because I couldn't handle it. Not wanting to feed her when I'm calling. So I would literally have to or I remember one time, I called and was just asking like, hey, did she eat today? Like, what? Oh, if you're so worried about her eating, you better come over here and feed her. Like a father. So, yeah, I was like, I'm actually not going to do this. I don't have actual support here. I'm not going to keep going through this. With him out of the house, I could think a little bit more clearly. I have my 2 feet kind of on the ground. So the plan is to get out of here to get support. I'm going to truncate this part because it's been a minute. We do need to get to, where we're going. So I move out. End up moving back to Miami. I'm originally from Miami, Florida. That's where I was born. My parents at the time were still living in Miami, Florida. I move into my parents' house. I'm still working as a teacher, but because of COVID, we can do online teaching, which was, again, everything was lined up in a perfect way for me to get out of that situation. I'm still teaching, still doing my thing. And I'm living back home. This didn't really last that long because I honestly just remembered, as I got there, a month into it, I was like, ooh, now I remember why I've never come back here. Now I remember why this does not feel like home. Yes, my parents are here. Yes, whatever. But actually, you two are the reason why I never come back here. This is not a home to me. This is not a safe space. And this isn't even a safe space after what I had just left, what I have just gone through. And you're just adding to it. Actually, you're the same thing. You probably don't even see what was going on there because you're the same thing. And I hadn't been home in so long that I really, really forgot. Or I just foolishly thought that I'm a mom now. I've gone through a hard time. I need your help. And so you would just adjust to helping your child. I was wrong. I was very, very wrong. So at this time I have did I lose my job at this point? I think I did. I lost my job at this point. Me and the current administration just were not on terms or whatever, on good terms. And the best blessing happened then. And then in that moment, at the time actually, which is the only time he actually supported anything. I don't know what he was legally or illegally doing, not my problem. Hand the money over because you haven't handed anything over since this child was born. So he had funded a couple of things during this time, but that's really neither here nor there because honestly it was payback for everything that I had been funding. But just to be fair and just to keep things transparent, you know what I'm saying? So at that time things were being funded by him and not by me, because I'd lost my, I was on the way of losing my employment. We had a major death in the family, his family, but this is the only person I really like respected in his family. So it was a major loss for me. It was his grandmother, but like, she was just always like speaking life into me and just so helpful, and just saw me all the time. And, like she was just the only grandparent I had left. Honestly, mine had gone so long ago before that. And just, so it was really, really sad. So I came up back to New York, helped the family with that, like we're all grieving, we're all mourning, whatever. But during that time too, it was just like, this person is showing just how much they just do not care about me, regardless of how I'm showing up for the family, showing up, taking care of your dying grandma who died in front of me. We're all holding her hands, all of these things, and, at the time, that's actually right after that is when I for sure lost my job. But the blessing in that was that I got a severance package. So they were going to pay me out the rest of my contract. By this time, I'm no longer living in New York. I am moving out of Florida. I wanted to move out of my parents, but I did not know where I was moving to yet. So I still have this New York income, and no bills. And it was a couple of, friends talking to. At the time, I thought I was going to move to Atlanta, but they were like, no, girl, like you do not want to move there with a kid and you don't even know anybody there. At the time, it was when like everybody was getting robbed in Atlanta. Like the crime rate was going crazy, crazy, crazy during this time in COVID or whatever. So someone had like lightly suggested to me, Charlotte. I didn't care at this point. I needed to be gone. I needed to get out of my parents' house because it was like literally exasperating the situation I was already in. I just didn't want to go from one abusive situation to another, and I accidentally did. So I didn't make it a full 3 months at my parents' house. I got up and I moved to Charlotte. Sight unseen. Mind you, I'd never even been to the airport. It was just me, my baby, the $8,000 I had saved at this point, within those 2.5 months that I've been living at my parents' house. And I said, let go. Like, I'm out of here. Let's go. So I ended up in Charlotte. I moved to Charlotte. I think I was in Charlotte for like 2 years, really thriving, doing the best that I could, and really starting to feel back on my 2 feet, really starting to feel like I could do this mothering thing. At this time, Cadence was turning 3, which was one of the really difficult times I had with her. 2 to 3 was kicking my butt, and doing it all alone was insane. There were some points I was just like, I'm not going to survive this. Like, oh my God, 2 to 3 was, sometimes I would literally leave her in like her crate or like playpen thing or whatever and go out to my car and just sit there for a little bit. And it was the only like relief I could get, from mothering. It was really, really crazy, and absolutely no help from him at the time. He stayed in New York. He was living his life as if nothing happened, no issues, no whatever, like just not coming down. I remember calling to ask for like help. Like, can you come down and see, help me? This is what I'm going through. And he'd respond in saying things like, I'm not your therapist, and like hang up the phone, do his thing, go about his thing or whatever, and leave us alone. He would pop up here and there, never telling me that he was coming down. He would literally just be popping up here and there. So this is where my severance comes into play, because I started, getting the rest of my contract money, and I didn't actually need to find a job. After I realized like how far my New York money was going to stretch in Charlotte, I was like, I don't need to find a job. When I moved to Charlotte, he actually purchased me a car, which again, I told you, whatever he was doing during that period of time, I was going to benefit from it, like hand out, because you're not doing anything else or whatever. So bought the car. But when somebody buys you something and it's just to like shut you up, like literally, like they just want you off their back so they can continue living their lives. That's what that car symbolized. Once I made the decision that, I actually don't want to be speaking to this person. I've moved to this new place. My child and I don't actually need you. When you do come down here, it's like to disrespect the hell out of me and not actually to help anything. I cut off our communication. When I cut off our communication, I also said, you know what? He bought the car. When he bought the car, he bought it outright. It was like a brand new Mercedes. And I said, I got a plan. And the plan involves me selling the car. So what I did, exactly that. I don't care if I got $30 for it. It was a full profit for me because I didn't buy anything in that car. I didn't invest anything in the car. But because of the times we were in, I not only got like to sell the car quickly, I got every penny the car was worth. Like it was a brand new car, fresh off the lot. Like I got every penny back that he paid for it. It's like it was a brand new sale to me. Immediately put money in savings, paid my rent for the rest of the year. And I told myself, I'm going to actually say yes to things. I don't have to be scared. I don't have to feel like I need a corporate job 24/7. Like I don't need to be on alert for anything. So that was the first time I started dipping my foot in doing like online creativeness. That's it. But at the time I was approaching it not as a community or creating a community or talking about what was happening to me. I was definitely on it for more of like making brand deals, trying to be an influencer right away, doing these things. But these, I wanted to try anything and everything that I previously told myself, no, I can't do, or I didn't have room to do responsibly. But I could do it now. So that was the beginning of my creator journey. So it definitely started with being more of an influencer. But as time went on, I really realized that, I'm going through something that is really difficult, that I didn't really have the know-how to know what was going on with me, or that it even had a name. Again, I'm coming from being super sheltered, not asking questions, not having family around me, not having other women around me or anything. Like, so I don't know what's going on. All I know is how I feel. And I know that this can't be normal. This cannot be normal. This cannot be a real thing. So, or this has to be something real. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no way I'm the only one. And also there's no way I'm the only one going through this. So I start talking about it. Not only do I start talking about it, I got into therapy. So now I have the language for it. Now I have somebody validating what I'm going through. And now I know that I'm quite literally a victim of something very, very, very real. And that's abuse, NPD abuse, narcissistic personality disorder abuse. Has he been formally diagnosed with that? No. Am I very sure that's what's going on with this person? Yes. Just yes. I mean, I feel like my therapist at one point spoke to him for like 15 minutes and was like, girl, you in danger, girl. Like, you're in danger. And I was like, girl, I already know. Thanks for confirming though. Like, I'm doing my thing. But like I said, I had to slowly crawl my way out of these things because I did not have a mom to help me. In fact, I had a mom that was telling me that I'm doing too much or I expect too much and that I have a grandiose version of what love should feel like. And I think that it needs to be Disneyland and roses. And, so she was not the one helping me come out of this. She was actually one advocating for me to stick around and endure because I have a child and because women endure, because women don't deserve any perfect love. I never said that I wanted perfect love. I just said I didn't want to be cheated on or like talked to like I'm nothing while I'm doing everything. You know what I mean? So that was what I was going through, and the support that I did not have. But I made a community that ended up supporting the hell out of me. I mean, affirming the hell out of me. It was just getting so good for me and so bad for him because I distinctively remember him just being like, oh, like you think you on the internet now and you got one or two little people telling you so-and-so and you think you big now, you think you big. And I was just like, no, I'm just validated now. I've seen and I've heard from other people the things that you were doing. And it's just like, oh, like you just start to realize that things are so textbook. Like NPD is so textbook. Like there's no originality in the things that they do. I started being able to connect with women who are from different race, different social class, different continents even. And we could finish each other's sentences on like specific incidents that happened. Like, whoa, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how textbook their abuse is. And it was just so helpful. It was helpful in me knowing how to respond and not respond, how to go about things. Like, and again, with the tools I was getting from my therapist at the time, I'm slowly just becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. Boom, I go no contact. We go no contact. This is, I want to say 5 years ago now, absolutely no contact. At the end of the year, it was like literally the best year of my life. I don't think I could replicate how beautiful that year of my life was. Was I rich? No. Was I, the top of everything, whatever could make a life the most perfect? No. But you know why it was perfect? Because at the time, if anything bad happened or if anything negative happened, it wasn't because somebody else enforced it on me or put that on me. It was just regular life. I could emotionally regulate myself, thus emotionally regulating my child who was driving me up a wall at the time. You know what I mean? But it was like she was feeding off my anxiety, honestly, most of it. You know what I mean? Yes, was she going through her own brain development? Sure. But I was going through my own brain development and body breakdown and mental health breakdown and all of these things. So the more I was able to regulate myself, the better just things around me became. Towards the end of the year, files for basically custody, we get to the court and I honestly welcomed it because I was like, good, because I'm playing chess. And this is where, a lot of you have a lot of questions about what do you do in court? How should I do this and whatever in court? I'm going to be honest with you. First of all, I cannot give you legal advice. The only advice I can give you though is get a lawyer. Get a lawyer. The second advice actually I can give you is go to court. Use the legal system. Unless you have a freaking needle in your hand or in your arm, then the legal system is on your side, mama. Do you understand? So do what you need to do. If they take you to court, welcome it, because that's exactly what I did. But I knew that I couldn't go at it myself. I also don't want to sound tone deaf. A lot of us cannot afford the legal fees that it would take to get to court, but there are resources for it. There are. You have to find a way to help yourself. It matters that much. Find a way to help yourself. If you've got to get a second job, do it. If you got to borrow money, do it. If you need to shop around for lawyers to see which rate you can afford, do it. Do it. Do what you got to do what you got to do. You understand? So that's what I did. Got a lawyer. She was expensive as hell. I really realized how predatory these lawyers are at that very moment. But I said, I'm going to figure out a way to get you this money because I need you to get me out of this. So that began the 7-year battle that we're going to talk about. We finished the first part of court, and that is what created our first parental agreement. In that parental agreement, I've always had primary custody and then shared legal custody, but I have last say so. So essentially I have full legal custody, but we share physical custody with me being the primary parent. With that, the main part of the back and forth between us had always just been the visitation portion, or how we split the time. This time was split that he would have every other weekend. Now, when we lived 11 minutes apart from each other, not a difficult thing to do. But as I'm playing chess, I know who I'm dealing with. I know I'm dealing with someone who actually does not work well with authority, does not actually work well with expectations and schedules and planning ahead and doing these things. So I knew this was going to fail. And when this failed this time, we have legal record of it. It wasn't just me, experiencing what I've always experiencing and knowing what I've always known. So I make my own decisions based on that, where this person can up and change who they are 24/7 and no one else can see it. But now we are under legal guidance and legal record keeping. So that's exactly what I did. I became a legal secretary. Every time you missed something, I was going to write it down. Every time I offered you more time with this child outside of these, the legal recommendations of when you should have this child, and you turn it down, I'm going to write that down. Things that you are not doing in accordance, I'm going to write it down. Now, at this time, also, I still needed help. I really still needed help. Things were still really difficult with me managing Cadence all by myself. Even though I was able to pay for this, able to do that, whatever. I was working 3 jobs at the time. Again, I'm always going to do what I need to do what I need to do. But I needed to pay for that lawyer. I needed to pay for our household things. I needed to, make things shake. And I was making things shake, but it was getting difficult. The thing, though, that made everything the most difficult during this time was my daughter and my daughter's wishes. One thing about having my baby, one thing about her in particular, is that her maturity has always been faster than my healing. Her maturity has always been faster than my healing. You see Cadence, you guys love her, and you guys can tell she's really smart. She's very aware. She's very intuitive. She's very with it. She's quite literally been here before more than once. We all see that. You know, I felt that since the day I locked eyes with her after they woke me up from the C-section, rolled me down and rolled me into the NICU to see her. We locked eyes and I was like, oh, I'm entering your world. You're not entering mine. Got it. Capiche. All right, General. It's been that way ever since. And so there have been a lot of times, but specifically during that period in time, which, you know, I want to say it was now three years ago. I'm just keeping us on a timeline here. We're in 2026. So yeah, about 3 years ago, 3 years ago, where she was very vocal about wanting to know why her dad and I operate the way we operate or can't operate any better, or why it feels, you know, different, why I'd put her in private school and she's seeing everyone have like this, you know, different way of living. They are full families. They do this together. They do that together. And all these questions would come to me, never to her father, to me. I had to answer for them. I have to be ready to explain, you know, why things look different or why things feel different. Her behavior started to change at the time. And, you know, being a former educator, being a mom who pays attention, who is present, being empathetic myself, you know what I mean? And also being highly sensitive. And again, coming from this same sort of environment, I could tell what was going on with my child, like, and what all of this was stemming from, you know? So she was carrying a lot of the anxiety that I had, and she was carrying a lot of confusion. And at the time, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what best to do except for give her a semblance of a family. So giving her the semblance of a family helped her immediately, actually. Her behaviors went away. Things that were like, she was like stimming at one point, legit, like just not dealing well with anxiety or anything like that went away, simply because I made the choice to let my guard down, to let my boundaries down that were quite literally keeping me alive, keeping me sane, to take care of her. I let them down because to me, a mother is always going to sacrifice herself, always, for a child. I would die for my child. And so the least I could do in that moment was not worry about my comfort, because I know the immediate thing to do in order to make my child comfortable. So screw me. And that's how I thought at the time, you know, nothing was wrong with it, but I know better now. And I would never advise, another sister, another woman, another anything to do that. Because here's the thing, your health precedes your child's health. So if you are unwell, your child would be unwell. If you can't regulate your nervous system, your child can't regulate their nervous system. Your child needs you to make the decision for them. They do not know best at that age. They may know what will feel good in the time, in the moment. So for my daughter, she needed to see him more. She wanted to be around him more. He's fun. He's all these things that mommy can't be because mommy has to work. Mommy does not have playtime on the floor. Mommy does not have a nervous system that can hang around you all the time. Mommy does not have the time, the wherewithal, the mental capacity, none of it. But daddy does, because he doesn't have any other responsibility. Do you know what I mean? So he could do all those things. So you want to see him a lot. And those are temporary wins. But having a mom, being a mother, being a parent who has a intact nervous system, who has the ability to come back to yourself, that actually is more beneficial to your child in the long run and for the rest of their lives than to have a parent who can only come in and play games and then leave. I put that on everything. Your child will get over that part, especially if you take care of them the way you need to take care of them. So the same help I was trying to get myself in therapy and all of that, whatever, I knew that I had to put her in therapy, which she is in therapy and has been in that. Because again, her maturity is faster than my healing. So there are a lot of things that I could not talk to her about because it would re-trigger me. I just didn't want to talk about it because I didn't know how to talk about it. And while I talk to my daughter, eye level, and while I give her the information that she needs in order to understand my decision making, some of it, it's still not your actual age. And the other part of it, it's not your business yet.
And I haven't even figured it out for myself. So how can I clearly explain it to you? You know? So I had to give her a third person, an impartial person, and a professional to talk about what she needs to talk about with, because I can't do it just yet. I can't support you just yet with that. So let that rock for a little bit, did what I had to do for a little bit, then realized, hey, I'm falling apart. I actually cannot let this person in my midst, around me or anything. I can't do this. I can't do it. So block went right back up. You better, figure out how to do your visits, do what you need to do, or this can't work. It couldn't work. The person is unemployed constantly, needing monetary help from me constantly, doing whatever they want to do constantly. And, and some people will hear that and be like, you were giving him money, even though he was doing blah, blah, blah. I was helping keep a roof over his head so that I could actually get the breaks I needed on the weekend in order to be half of a human by the time Monday came. Because if he lost his place to live, then I lost my babysitter, essentially. And Cadence would lose more contact with him. So again, at the time, doing what I needed to do in order to do what I need to do. So, this goes on for a little bit. This goes on for a little bit. As this is going on, I'm continuing to share my life on the internet. I'm continuing to create a more solid community. I'm continuing to be authentic, be me, be present, literally just trying to make sense of everything that's going on with me. And I'll tell you this, there is an abundance in suffering. There is an abundance in suffering, because just by getting on the internet and being me and just really trying to figure things out, I get a call August 2 years ago. Hey, wanted to catch up with you. I got an email first, but then the call comes and it's my agency that I've now been signed to for the last 2 years. They wanted to talk to me. They want to, set up a meeting, see what we could do. The internet is loving me and my daughter. Again, all I'm doing is sharing my kid who's just graduated from pre-K, and I'm so excited about it because the people wouldn't know what I had gone through to get her through this, what I literally had to do to get her there. And even prior to filming that first video that went us so viral on the internet, even that day, having to rush her off the graduation stage because he showed up to her school when I asked him not to, and when he knew he shouldn't have or whatever, knowing that he had not been to her school the entire school year, hasn't done anything, didn't provide anything, but you want to show up for the graduation day. Interrupting a moment that should have been, for me and her, and for people who had shown up for her that entire year. But we filmed that video and it went mega, 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 mega viral. And that was my entry in to being able to make a life for us, the life that you guys see that I'm able to sustain for her now. There is an abundance in suffering. And I believe it's because I kept my head down, and I believe it's because I did my work, and I believe it's because I never lost sight of the fact that there was no way I was put on this earth to suffer. There was no way. I did what I needed to do. Why would God really designate this type of life for me? There's no way. So I made sure to do my work and keep doing my work until I saw a way out again. Because remember, my first way out was COVID. Now, my second way out comes after a couple of months go by. I told you guys I was working about 3 jobs. Sometimes it would be 4 if I would take on part-time job. I was working at Cadence's school. I was working my full-time remote job as a recruiter at the time. And then I would take on certain side gigs. So if a company needed social media help, I would, jump on that or whatever and help them out with it or whatever. Just, never for lack of funds to be able to pay this lawyer that I had on retainer, and for whatever else, right? And give my child whatever they needed at the time and just keep a roof over our heads. Then the money starts rolling in, brand deals start rolling in, and opportunities for Cadence start rolling in. So again, I have never been one to actually just bar him from participating in her life as long as it didn't affect my life. As long as I didn't need to sacrifice myself for that to happen. So again, some of the internet saw some parts of him being present with, her big opportunities. She works for Netflix and doing things like that or whatever. And I made sure the budget included flying her father out to these things so he could be present, so he could be there as well. And, people kind of misinterpreted that, but thankfully no one ever like condemned me for any of those things. I feel very lucky that they waited for me to explain. You know what I mean? They waited for me to like let them know what was really going on. And I did. They gave me the space and I did, and they understood, they knew what was happening. And everyone else could get what was happening except for him. Again, instead of being happy for these things, instead of supporting your child, instead of like, really wanting to do better so that you could be present, it was almost like he was jealous of his own child. Then the jealousy jumped from his child to me. Like it was just, he was seething that we had, succeeded, or we were doing this thing and we're doing it without him. Mind you, it was his choice to all along to not be part of this family, So it was just like, I don't know what you want me to, now you want to jump on board and now you want to be a family, but I'm not letting you. And so you hate me for that. And that hate grew and grew and grew and grew. And while it was growing for him, I was making a plan to get up out of Charlotte. Now, remember, I have a parental agreement. With that parental agreement signed by the court, you do need either the court's permission to move or you need that parent's permission to move. Initially, I had his full say-so to be able to move. Like he understood that I needed to leave Charlotte in order to not only make money, but save money. I was coming up to New York almost every week. Cadence was missing school at the time, a lot of it. I'm missing work at the time, a lot of it. And it just did not make financial sense anymore. I needed to figure out a way to come up here. So now we're really getting to very, very close because I only moved up here last June. So it has not been a year yet. Remember I said we needed either his permission or the court's permission. I had his permission, which he then decided to take back once I realized that he thought I was also going to move him to New York. Mind you, only one of us is born and raised in New York, and it's not me. So why you think you would need me to move you up to New York and live with me, because where else were you going to go? Why you would think that is beyond me. It's beyond me. It's like, it's the delusion that he's always operated in that always shocked me. It's just like, what? Like, you thought, you expect, okay. Like, it's just the things that they expect people to do for them. It's the things that they think people owe them without them ever even saying a thank you, showing any sign of gratitude, anything at all. So once I was like, you're not coming with us, immediately he was like, not only did he, revoke his like permission for me to move, he started making things extra difficult for us while we were in Charlotte. I was like, you know what though? I'm not going to let this like intimidate me. I'm not going to let this make me go back into like fawning behavior. What I am going to do is do what the fuck I need to do. And I did exactly that. I called that lawyer back up and I was like, hey, this is the plan. This is what I need to do. This is where we stand. Let's go. Put the full force on this one. Okay, we're going the distance. If you watch Real Housewives, like you will get that reference, but it's like we need to take it to the max. Pedal to the metal. We're going the distance on this one. I prayed about it. I wrote it down. I saw an opportunity again, and I took it. I moved. Moving was really, really difficult because as soon as I got here, he literally filed like 2 injunctions. Like one was to get me to like emergency move right back because I had essentially, according to him, stolen Cadence. Mind you, the child has never lived with him. We're coming from years of you not supporting this child, not even seeing this child when you were supposed to see them, all these things or whatever. But if you're going by the letter of the law, I moved without his I guess his full consent, because he had taken it back, but like, you're just trying to control me. So like, please. So, he, files those things with the court. Mind you, I'm in the middle of interviewing a nanny when all this is happening. So I didn't see anything. I didn't get anything. I pick up my phone afterwards, take it off D&D, and my lawyer had called me multiple times, and then emails have come through. Long story short, I see that he filed these things and they got immediately denied. So no, I didn't have to go move back immediately to Charlotte, and I didn't have to do anything that he was trying to file against me or whatever. But what it did set off was the very first court hearing that we had. So a couple months after I moved here, we had our very first virtual court hearing. And in that court hearing, it was to determine whether I did have to move back. Yeah, I think it was just to determine that. Like, did I have to move back to Charlotte while we waited for the modification hearing? So the modification would change that every other weekend thing or whatever, while I'm up here. So we get to the court hearing and it was 50-50. So 50% of it was wonderful because I didn't have to move back. Cool, my daughter and I live in New York. temporarily until the modification hearing. So that was always looming over my head. But at least we didn't have to move back right away. I get to be here, make a living here, and do what I need to do. The other part of that decision, though, was that judge decided that I would still have to uphold the visitation as it was as we were living 11 minutes apart from each other by bringing Cadence down every other weekend to see her father, and I would be financially responsible for it. So that was the answer to that. A lot of you are asking, oh, why? I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't be bringing my dad. Like, he would have to come get her, or he would have to take me back to court. No, we weren't in court. And the judge is the one who made sure that I understood that this was what I was to do until the modification. There is an abundance in suffering, because while I was pissed, while I was so annoyed, I didn't have to leave New York, and I had the money to do what I needed to do. Is this money allocated for this? Hell no. But all I could be is grateful for the fact that I could make it work one way or another, because I knew there would be an end to this. There had to be an end to this. I was going to make a way to end this. As we're here, you guys see my life. You guys see everything, the opportunities that we're getting. You see me working. You see me doing the best I can. Cadence is in new therapy. She's loving it. I'm in therapy. I'm loving it. Life is doing what it needs to do. I'm doing what I can, bringing her down there. I think I missed, I'm talking since last June, bro. I think I missed maybe 2 visits. 2 of them I was sick. 3 visits. 2 of them I was sick. 1 was for work, like we weren't here. But I'm keeping up with contact. I'm doing everything that I, need to do, whatever. I'm still dealing with him, like cutting off communication between me and her every time she goes down there to visit. I make sure I never am the one doing anything in this way. I keep it above board. I do what I need to do. I'm turning up my secretarial duties on everything. I let him be him. He doesn't know how to do anything else but be him. And because I'm not at I'm not in a relationship with him or in the same state as him or anything, it does not affect me the way it did. So I relished in him being him, because him being him was only going to help me in the end. And this I knew. So now we're in the now. What just happened? Finally, we get a date set for the modification hearing. Modification hearing date sets, I guess, whatever, always take forever. It was just insane. The waiting game on seeing when I would essentially learn my fate was crazy. I mean, it felt like it would never, ever come, but it finally did. We learned in November that we are going to finally have a date in January. So at this point, I'm like, all right, bet. I'm taking this as that's the finish line. That is the finish line for me. January is it. We'll know what we need to do. At this point, I know we've been living here for however long. Cadence's life is embedded here. My life is embedded here. The closer we get to the date, I felt like I was battling a little bit of anxiety, just like, oh my God, what if? There were so many what ifs, because I can think logically all I want and know what, would be logical decision for a court to make. But at the end of the day, you just don't know. You don't know what the court is going to decide. But again, I know I had all my ducks in order. I know I had an attorney. I know that he had 2 attorneys that he'd been dropped by because, he just assumed he couldn't pay for them or whatever. But again, not sending $1, not calling your kid, not helping, not coming to visit your kid, not anything, not making any type of effort to be an actual father. He was relishing in the fact, sitting back, laughing, enjoying the fact that I had to interrupt every other weekend to come down there so he could see her for literally a day and a half. Never taking an extra hour with her, never doing anything with her. Just the fact that he thought he was disrupting me by bringing her down there. Not once thinking she has severe asthma. Planes were literally crashing in the air at one point. Just, this is not the time to fly. Never once did he ever suggest that we should do something else or change something else or have another agreement. He was loving the fact that basically he was able to tug on a leash and make me come down to Charlotte. That's fine though, because I know one thing about it. I have a praying grandmother. She's not here, but she has always been covering me, always. So we get to court finally, January 22nd. We get there. I come in with my my attorney and her legal assistant. My brother's behind me. My brother's always behind me. My brother and I are like this. We ended up raising each other. And so if you see him, you see me. If you see me, you see him. That's actually Cadence's parental figure. That's the man in her life. You understand? we get there, we get to the court, and I am feeling, the night before, I was feeling a little like, ooh, like, dang, it's here. Like, this is it. The rest of my life is determined tomorrow. It's 1 a.m. I should be asleep, but I am like, just so anxious. In just a few hours, my life could change. I have been fighting for 7 very, very long years to get my life back and to give stability to my daughter. And in just a few hours, I could finally get that. It'll be the last link in a very long chain that I have been working so hard to break. And I'm so close. I'm so close. Stehfuhnee, you did your best. You've done all you could do. So let's see. I definitely was a little something, but for some reason I had more of a calm over myself. I just was like a rock with a robe on it, could see what's going on here. And there is no way that I'm gonna have to move back. And there's no way too that I'm gonna lose anything for real. Honestly, even if the court was like, you got, instead of going every other weekend, you know, he got to come up here one weekend, you got to go down there another weekend, like that would have still been a win for me. Anything that was not what we were currently doing would have been a win for me. We get to court. Like I said, I show up with my lawyer and her legal aid, and he shows up and he's by himself. So this is the story time. Now, y'all, when I tell you, if you are going through something like this, if you are feeling, you know, you're doing all the right things, you're doing all that you can do, and it just seems that this evil continues to permeate. It seems that they are not getting the consequences that they should get. I want to tell you something, that throughout my experience with him, throughout me knowing him, he has gotten his consequences. They've never, though, been when I wanted him to have the consequences. So if you are dealing with someone like this, if you are dealing with someone who means you know well, they don't mean you good, just know, as long as you are doing what you need to do, their actions will catch up to them. Their actions will catch up to them. I'm not saying ignore how much it hurts you at the time. And I'm not saying that it doesn't, you know, it erases the fact that it makes your life difficult in that moment. But lean on those who you can lean on when those times are hard. And protect yourself as best as you can in those moments, right? But know and be faithful in hold steadfast in the fact that they will get what's coming to them. They will reap what they sow. I say that to start off with telling you the first part of this story. We get to the court, y'all. Now, the first thing the judge does when we get up, she starts an advisement hearing. So she, you know, notifies us that she's like, you know, the Mecklenburg County or whatever, they wanted to start doing advisements. So that means like, if they see that you have another court case coming up on the docket, you're already in court here. They're just going to advise you on what you need. Let us know what, you know, just brief you on what you need before that next court hearing, instead of having a whole separate advisement hearing for you before you even see the court again. I don't know what's going on. I'm not a lawyer. You know what I'm saying? I'm just sitting there. I'm just sitting. So they're having an advisement. So she, asked him a couple questions in terms of who will represent him. Does he need the court to appoint him one, represent himself, or is he going to bring a lawyer? That's the first time we hear that he can't afford a lawyer. We don't for sure know why yet, but we know. You know what I'm saying? So he asked for a court-appointed lawyer at the time. Or for this. Now you're asking me, Stehfuhnee, for what? We're already in court. So what are they advising him about? I had filed for contempt on I think December 26th. If you've been following me on Threads specifically, you know that I had been sharing for some months now that every single time my daughter went down there to visit him, he would make sure to purposely block communication between me and my kid. So the first time she'd gone down there was for a long stretch of 2 weeks during the summer. Me and Cadence have never been away from each other for more than, at this point, 3 days. And we were always in the same city, even when that happens. You know what I'm saying? So it was just, first of all, that happening was jarring. I'm literally sending my kid to the only thing that my body registers as danger. He doesn't know how to take care of her. He doesn't really take care of her well. He's never made me feel like he's going to kill her or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like never like intentionally harm her, but it's just not intentional parenting in any category. So why would I feel safe doing that? But I had to follow what the judge said. I had to follow what I had to do. So she goes down there for those 2 weeks. In those 2 weeks, I think I spoke to her 1-2 times because he disabled her iPad, disabled her phone, shut off all her locations, was making sure that the only way, and he continues to do this, that I could ever reach her, if I could reach her, was by calling his phone. And when I would call his phone, he would watch the phone ring and text me back things like, we're busy, or she'll call you later, or she's asleep. But it would be like 2:00 in the afternoon. I know my child. The last time she's taken a nap, what are you talking about? Like that doesn't actually happen. And I know you guys aren't doing enough. She's not burning enough calories for her to be asleep in the middle of the day. So what are you talking about? Things like that, just pettiness that were just cutthroat, clear. You are trying to make sure she and I do not speak to each other. And also it was just insane because it was like when Cadence is with me, that iPad, that phone, like he expects her to have those available for him to speak to her because he doesn't actually want to call my phone. He doesn't actually want to go through me or have to hear me. But it's like you have 3 ways to reach her there. But when she's there, I only have 1 way to reach her. And you make sure that way is like the most difficult way. But again, you have to let a moron be a moron. At the time, was it hard for me? Hell yes. I wanted to just hear my daughter for a little bit just so I can confirm that she's, cool, whatever. Just by her voice, I can tell if things are okay or not, Wanted to hear, how she's doing at any of those times. Most of the time I didn't really call because she's only gone for a day and a half when she's with him. And I'm also in Charlotte. So it's like, I would hope if something was up, like he would tell me, but who knows? Who knows if that would happen? But I would just send her off, pray over her safety and, let it rock. But there are many times that I did try to call and he would block that communication. Cool. I was going to file contempt on him at the top of December because, again, it was just going on for quite some time. So I'm like, bro, like there's an incident every time I send her down there. Like, you got to chill out. You have to stop. But what ended up happening, Cadence was in the hospital at the top of December. We left for a work trip in Boston. And so you guys know, if you follow me on any other platform, she was in the hospital. So I'm like, hey, hold off. I know you guys are saying like we definitely need to file the contempt on him, but like, hold on, she's in the hospital. I need to like update him what's going on. It wasn't just like a little hospital stay. It was like, she was like on oxygen for 3 days. Mind you, he didn't come up. He didn't try to like, every time I was updating, I'm the one updating him. Like he's not really worried about nothing. He's just, whatever. Your kid, imagine knowing that your kid is on oxygen, needs oxygen, hospitalized. We were in the hospital for like 4 days in a city I don't live in. You know what I mean? Didn't make any suggestion that he would come help in any way. But honestly, thank God, because this is not the first time Cadence has ended up in the hospital because of her asthma, but this is the first time that he wasn't present for it. And it was like the smoothest go ever. Luckily, we are in a city that I didn't live in, but my family was in. And so my aunt came right away, was able to help me. I felt like I was not alone and in the best way. For the first time ever that she's been hospitalized for this situation. But anyway, I held off on the contempt part. Now comes Christmas. I'd given him all the rest of the holidays for the rest of the year, just because, again, I wanted to get ahead of that. Like I wanted to give myself a break. 1, 2, I wanted to get ahead of like having to go back and forth on who gets this and I was like, just give it all to him. Give it all to him. Again, I also knew how that was going to look in court. Like I'm not fighting for something. I'm not like making sure he has less time to spend with her. Nothing. Have it. She goes down there for Christmas. And to my kind of stupid surprise, I was really like, shocked that he would pull the same shit again on Christmas, mind you. I'm trying to call, he's not answering the phone, or answers and hangs up after I hear, he's like purposely letting me hear that she's opening gifts and like her excitement and stuff or whatever, and hang up the phone. I call again and he's like, hello. And I'm like, yeah, I just wanted to say quick, do you want me to call back at a specific time? If you guys are like busy right now, whatever. It's just, I couldn't speak to her. Again, all those times I tried to call just then, it was just like a 2-second hello. Hey, mommy, happy Merry Christmas. Couldn't speak to her. I said, from that moment, as soon as my lawyer gets back in her office, I'm going to file it on your ass because now you're acting You're beyond. I give you grace, and you. So anyway, we're in court. January 22nd, we're in court. They start off with the advisement, and the advisement was for that contempt, because guess what? When you file contempt, the court doesn't have to accept it. The court can be like, no, this is, we're going to deny it. This isn't, whatever, wasted their time, however the decision comes. But the court accepted mine. The court not only accepted mine, we have a pending date for it. So they're advising him on that. Let him know all the things they need to know, or whatever. And then the judge ends her advisement with this. She says, and to let you know, with in this court, I only seek jail time for contempt. We're going to leave that at that. We're going to leave that at that. That is pending, and we'll leave that at that. Anyway, we get to the rest of the court case. We're there. My lawyer, we go first because we were the ones with the burden of proof. I'm seeking to have full custody. I'm seeking to not stop their visitation, but I'm seeking to stop bleeding money to help him see his child. He needs to have the effort. So we're, going through all of that again, showing how, I had to move. I did have his permission at first. He took the permission, when he took the permission away, how he took the permission away. And we're moving through it. Court started at 9 a.m. We did not get out of there till 4:30 p.m. But I'm grateful. I was tired as all hell, but I'm grateful because the judge got to hear every single piece of freaking detail of what I have been going through for these last couple of years. There was no stone left unturned. And I mean, I feel like the more I spoke, the more, having to relive that. I was crying at times. I was like literally having to tell them to hold on because I was rehashing all these things that I forgot that I had sustained and I had gone through, but it needed to be said. While we're in court, at one point, again, letting him be himself, in mid testimony, he raises his hand and literally asks the judge if she could print out his evidence for him. She asked the judge, could she be his Kinko's? Mind you, we've known for months now that today was the court date. We've known for months. So that was the whole court was like, what? That was, again, I'm letting him establish who he is. We're going through everything that we need to. Boom, it's his turn to get on stand. I couldn't wait for that part because it's just again, with those types of people, they hate women, 1. 2, they actually hate authority. So if a woman is speaking to him in an authoritarian voice, you know what I mean? Or a confident voice, I knew that it was going to get under his skin quickly and he was going to start acting like a dick, which he did. Thank you. So, he's being cornered into answering certain things. He's being made to look stupid, but on his own, because again, the things you do are stupid. And so when you say them out loud in front of people who have jobs and also are parents, in front of people who are adults and know how to adult, you look ridiculous. So the more he spoke, the more rude he became, the more cornered he felt, the more he attacked, the more he said things that you could tell he didn't mean to say. Revealing that he was up here multiple times and we didn't know. You know what I'm saying? You up here, you're telling me then you found the money to come up here to New York where your child is, but you didn't see your child? That's weird. Just telling on himself. Y'all, why did he at one point have the opportunity to call me up on stand? And he literally did. He literally called. I said, oh, I knew you were stupid, but I was unaware of how deep-seated your stupidity is because, okay. I get up on the stand. I guess during our break, he printed out a couple of his little pieces of evidence or whatever. Mind you, everything looked like it was freaking chewed up by the printer before he handed it in or whatever and presented some things to me. It was so bad, guys. At one point, I literally got onto the mic and I was like, did you read this before you? Because the shit was literally helping my case. Quite literally. I'm like, were you able to read this? He printed stuff out that was so out of context and it's he didn't realize that we had printed out all our conversations. You know what I'm saying? So it was I could provide what was said prior and what was said after. At one point he kept trying to it's a yes or no question. It's just a yes or no question. And the judge was like, she can answer yes or no and then elaborate, because again, she needs to provide context for some of these things that you're bringing up. So he was pissed at that because he thought he was going to try to trick me, hold me into something, whatever. At one point, I think he thought he was going to like agitate me, but I was literally like, you're an idiot. I am talking to an idiot, and I'm going to talk to you like you are an idiot, but very calmly, very demure at that. You know what I'm saying? It was the joy of my life to get up there and really just let people witness what I accidentally let myself get attached to. And this is the conversations that I try to have with him daily. And look, guys, everybody look at the way he responds to this. And I couldn't help but see the bailiff's face at multiple times, and even the clerk's face at multiple times, and how they were just astounded by his behavior, his responses to things, the way he just excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse, and it's just none of the excuses were good enough. Everyone was literally in shock at how dumb someone could be. Me too. I get off the stand. And, we both set our case. We both did what we did, whatever. We both rest our case. Ciao. As we're doing all this, mind you, the judge has been typing away. I'm like, girl, what is the notes? Let me see. What is you talking about right now? What's going on? We rest our case. And I'm thinking we're going to take a recess before she comes back with a decision. Nope. The judge says, and I've been typing as you guys were talking, so I already really have this order already typed out for you guys. So we're just going to go through the surface things or whatever, the changes here, and then I'll have this sent out. I was like, nope, that was really fast, mama. You don't think about nothing? Like, hold on now. So she begins to speak, arms crossed. And I said, oh God, she's about to make a tough decision, a tough rendering. Like, girl, arms crossed. I'm scared. She sits back and she says, in a case like this where we're talking about relocation, and we're talking about, and she goes like this to me, relocation without the court's permission. I said, oh yeah, she finna put it down on me for that one. She's mad. I think that this case is monumental. And even still then, I'm not catching I can't breathe. So I'm not catching her tone on things or whatever. It was not clear. This case is monumental. My stomach now drops to my asshole. I kid you not. Monumental? Why? Because you finna make an example out of me, mama? What is it? What's monumental? Her next sentence, and I'm quoting, I will never forget it. I honestly should tat it on my back. Wait till I get the transcripts of the court. I'm gonna tat this on my back, swear to God. This case is monumental. And actually, I would describe it as exemplary. Because what I see before me, from all the testimony that we've shared here, that we've heard here, you saw an opportunity, she said it. You saw an opportunity and you took it. And you have made the best life you possibly can for your daughter, despite. And I think everyone in court can agree with that. You've shown up as a mother and you've shown up for yourself, despite. And we could see that you've done that on your own. Now, and she took a little break. I was like, I'm shaking. My hands are under the table. I could tell from my peripheral, my lawyers are like looking at me to celebrate a little bit or smiling. And I'm like, I could not move my head. I could not turn. I'm like, hold on, because I need you to get to, thank you, but I can't even receive what she's saying because I need you to get to what now? Because she could compliment me and say these things and that were like, I can't believe she took the time to even validate me. Like, thank you, but it could still turn into something we don't want it to turn into. So I'm like, stop smiling, hold on, keep it cute. Hands shaking, body shaking. She continues and she turns to him and she goes, from your testimony and from, what we've heard here today, from the last time we saw each other, you mentioned that I reprimanded you the last time we saw each other, and I just can't say in good faith that I've seen any growth from you. Any growth at all, actually. There are a lot of things that this court believes you are moving in bad faith about. So things like, implying here in your motion that you don't want your daughter on the internet, where we have all this evidence presented that not only, has your the mother of your child provided opportunities for you to join your child along all these amazing opportunities she's had, but you're also posting them on your public profiles, your public Instagram. So that is bad faith that the court does not really have much faith in you in. And I forget, so there was something else that she said that the court didn't have faith on him in. Obviously it was bad faith on his part as well. So she's dumping on him. She's going in. Like, she's literally, but subtly, she's not really like attacking him or anything. She's just saying, again, what we've all been thinking, like, you are a bum. But she's saying it nicely. But it's like, you can't avoid what she's saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, you cannot avoid it. Your actions, the facts of the matter are what they are. And the facts are BUM. That's you. Then she gets to what it's going to be and what it is. So, before she says that, actually, she goes, and lastly, I want to say something that, in all the years I've been presiding on this bench, all the years, and that's been a long time. And she looks at her clerk, and the clerk's like, I have never seen this level of communication, and some might call it oversharing. And she looked at me, and it kind of gave girl, stop, but okay, I will. But she said, I've never seen this level of oversharing from that side of the bench or that side of the courtroom to that side of the courtroom. There has not been a moment where you have been in the dark about what goes on with your child or what happens. Like, she has kept you in the loop the entire time. She communicates. I've never seen something like that. So that's just something else I need you to think about, sir. I need you to think about that because it doesn't happen. So I don't know if that's a precedent for the later case, but I'm so glad that she also validated that because it is true. Like, I just couldn't imagine cutting off a parent who is alive or whatever from knowing what's going on with their child. I couldn't imagine, but also I'm not stupid. Like, let's really keep it a buck. You know what I'm saying? I'm not stupid. So boom, she gets to what's finna happen. So now I'm like, yeah, okay, let me sit up now because what's going to happen, mama? What are we doing? What we got? Let's get to it. Basically, she gives me physical custody and legal custody. Yeah. We still have in the legal custody, it's still not like the full custody, but it is full custody because it's just that you have to, in good faith, bring it up to the other parent, but I still have final choice. So it is full custody, Not only that, then she goes on to say that he has 1 week a month, or 1 weekend a month. So 1 week is crazy. He has 1 weekend a month visitation, which, amen, girl, I was not even asking for that. I thought it was going to be, again, on and off, but it was 1 weekend a month. Then she said on the 1 weekend a month, she said he has to tell me 15 days in advance which weekend he is contemplating on coming up or wanting to have or whatever. Then she said, strike that, 20 days, because obviously Cadence has her own schedule, quote unquote. Yes, mama, thank you. So then she says that part, so it's only 1 weekend a month. Then she says, and this will be at your cost, his cost. So he has to pay for it all. You want to come up here, you want to see her, you want to take her and bring her back down, you have to bring her back up, that's at your cost, buddy. Good luck with that, being unemployed for the 5th time in a year. Good luck. So, yeah, there's that. Then he gets some summertime with her, but again, minimal. And again, things that I know he's not actually going to be able to do. So good luck with that. Finally, the ruling is that my permanent residence is in New York. So that's off my chest. I think I couldn't breathe. I thought I was going to be able to, my shoulders were going to come down immediately, whatever. I just could not breathe. She gave me more than I ever anticipated in terms of that ruling, because I thought it was just going to be shared, still going to be, he could say whatever he wanted to say, still could be whatever. She went as far even to add the whole phone situation or whatever. She was like, if a parent is initiating the call when the child is at the other person's house, you call at 7 p.m. Anytime before or after that, things aren't answered, you call at 7 p.m. So that would just really, it put an expectation and a more manageable one at that. So it's just I don't have to worry about, I got to keep my phone on, maybe he's going to call. I don't have to think about him, period. He is completely out of my thoughts, my life, my anything. I don't have to move thinking about his feelings, his what could he do, his retaliation, his nothing. I don't have to, because what I know is that this ruling is not going to be sustainable for him. Not only does he not have a job, he doesn't actually have support to come up here. And if he does come up here some way, somehow, are you going to be able to do it if you do get a job somewhere in Charlotte? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you going to really do? What can you do? What can you do? And I don't have to care about what can you do. I don't. I am free from you. I am free. I'm free. I'm free. It was literally the last chain in a 7-year-long chains I have been breaking and breaking and reattaching sometimes because I needed to, and breaking and breaking and breaking. This was it. It was over. It's over. It's over. We did it. We fucking did it. I'm sitting outside the courthouse. I'm waiting on my Uber. It took all day. We started at 9 a.m. and it's just about 5. Let me see. It's literally 5:30. It took all day. But I would take another day if I had to ensure my freedom. And I got more than my freedom today. My kid got more than her stability. I got more than my dues today, y'all. You would not believe it. This is testimony. This is my testimony. Stick to what you are doing. Do the right thing always, because if any weapon is formed against you, it shall not prosper. Your baby daddy shall never, ever prosper. A man who means to do a mother wrong will never, ever, ever be good in this life. They will never be good in this life. Don't ever be afraid to take a man to court. Don't ever be afraid. Find all the resources that you can and stick to it, because at the end of the day, you are a mother, and a court recognizes when you are being a mother and a father. Don't let them tell you anything else. Document everything, write everything down, play by the book, keep at it. You will reap your reward, whether it be here, today, tomorrow, a year from now, 7 years from now. You will reap your reward. I put that on mine. Y'all, not only did I get more than everything I asked for today, the judge literally in her ruling stood up and said that this is a landmark case for a motion to modify. I'm quoting her. She said this is a landmark case. If there was anything she has ever heard to justify being able to move a child before getting written consent or written consent from the parent or written consent from the court, this one was it. Oh my God. She validated me so much. She took the time to tell me of the phenomenal job I've done raising Cadence. She doesn't know me, but it was like my grandma was talking to me. Like that's what it gave me. Like my grandma all of a sudden was talking to me through her. Like she was literally just saying how proud of me she is, literally that she is proud of me, that I have set Cadence up in a way. Hello. Hi. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my God, I can't even react yet. I'm so.
I don't even know why I did this.
It was so. When I tell you, I have given that man everything and then some. Mm-hmm. That's that on that. I am free. If you've gotten this far, you have gotten to the final episode of Raising Me Diaries. We are going to move on to the Other Side Diaries. On the Other Side Diaries, and in the first episode of On the Other Side Diaries, I want to talk about what it actually looks like on the other side of becoming free, finally free from evil, from all the things that I've been talking about, from all the things that you guys have seen me survive and get through, and then finally be awarded freedom from. And the first part of that involves my child. What does all of these decisions, what does this mean now for my child? I have so many thoughts about that and so many real concerns and so many things that I want to share with you guys on that. And we're going to do that on episode 1 on The Other Side Diaries. So if you are not subscribed already, make sure to subscribe, turn the notification on. I will see you guys very soon for what is probably one of the most important parts of my first steps as a free woman who is still a mom. So thanks again for watching. Thank you again for holding my hand through this entire thing. Thank you for your congratulations. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the kind words that you guys have said, will say, are saying. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I wish I can have all the money in the world because I would get all my goodies, a Chanel, a car, and whatever you guys blinked at, I would get it for you. I wish. Stay tuned though. I know exactly how I want to give back and I will be working on that. I am working on that already. But like I said, definitely subscribe if you want to keep up with this journey because I'm just getting started. Bye.